Welcome to the Social Slice Podcast. My name is Alicia Henley.
And my name is Noble Crawford.
Social Slice gives you a slice of marketing, branding, and social strategy.
From some of the top influencers in the business, we dive into the best practices, tools, and tips
to help you connect, engage, and grow your brand. Grab your slice. And again, thank you for tuning in with us. This is Alicia Henley back with the Social Slice. And tonight we have a great guest with us. We have EricTung here. He was on the Forbes list for being one of the most influential social media people. Eric, how are you? Thank you for joining us today.
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me on. I love the stuff that you guys do, so I'm happy to be here.
Hey, I appreciate it. Now, I know we go out and have brunch and all that stuff together, but Noble and the people want to know a little bit more about you.
Yeah, so actually, Eric, I don't have the good fortune of having met you before, so we'll do just a virtual high five here. But if you could just tell a little bit more about yourself for me and the listeners, that'd be cool.
Sure, definitely. I am the director of digital at Go-To-Marketers. We are a digital web design, video, social content agency based out of Toronto, but we have folks globally. We're one of the top sources when it comes to for tech, IT software and all that through our blog at itchronicles.com. So I get to work with a lot of different, mostly B2B companies, figuring out how to market to them through social.
Okay, well, with that said, we'll go ahead and dive right into it. And so for some of the folks maybe listening to this episode, they may or may not be exactly familiar with what content marketing is, or maybe they've heard it. Maybe they've heard content marketing or inbound marketing, but they're not quite sure what it is. Can you give us your definition of content marketing?
Yeah, definitely. So, there's lots of different kinds of marketing. Content marketing really focuses on providing good, valuable content for your prospects and your customers. So the idea being, if you work for let's say, a marketing company, you want to put out stuff on your blog that helps people with marketing, right? Here are your top 10 tips for doing social media, right? Here's how to write an email headline. Here's how to write a blog post. And by having that content out there, number one, it helps to build up your customers' affinity for your brand because you're providing them good stuff that they're using at their jobs anyway. But number two, it's also really good for Google. So Google sees all those keywords on your blog. They're going to say, oh, well, this marketing agency must know what they're talking about when it comes to marketing, because they keep talking about marketing stuff. And so Google will show your site for different searches too. So content marketing, I think, kind of spans all of that and then some too. Now it's into podcasts like this. You got video, you got white papers, you got, blog posts, obviously, and just so much of basically putting out good, helpful content that then helps to drive traffic back to your website.
Now, all that you named, video and social media, how does that help a brand set themselves apart in all the noise? There's so many different softwares and apps. How does content marketing do that for a particular brand?
Great question, Alicia. So if you think about it, there are tons and tons of different competitors out there, right? So let's go back to being a marketing company. You've got, literally probably thousands of different marketing companies and agencies in the US, right? And probably hundreds in your hometown or home city. So how can you set yourself apart? I've read research that says something like 80 or 70% of a buyer's journey is complete before it gets to the sales department. So what that means is most people are sitting in their offices reading blog posts, watching videos, listening to podcasts. And by the time they finally say, okay, well, I need to go buy something, I need to go buy, marketing services, then they've already narrowed it down to the top, let's say 3 to 5 companies that they want to approach. So if you're missing out on content marketing, then you could be missing out on as much as 70% of the business that could be coming to your company. Research shows that companies that blog have like 500 to 1500% as much traffic as companies that don't have blog posts or don't post on their blog. So, there's just tons and tons of stats that really show that, companies, even, individual thought leaders, I know that a lot of different, for example, social media people are kind of brands in their own right. So a lot of them do need to go out. They need to write their own blog posts and kind of promote their own brand to get out there, work with the Googles and search engines, and also just provide good, helpful information out there.
Mm-hmm. So if I'm a brand, like you said, I'm an influencer in my own space, or if I'm a company, what are some of the best forms you think for content marketing and in the tech space? Should I be writing a blog? Oh, you mentioned that a lot. Or should they be doing video? What do you feel is the best form?
I think it really depends on who you're trying to approach, right? So if you are a mainframe software company, you probably won't be marketing on Snapchat because if you're a mainframe software company, most of your users are literally on average 72 years old. No joke. Okay? So, when it comes down to it, you really need to look at where your customers lie. I mean, for most B2B companies, that's going to be LinkedIn, right? Maybe if you are a little bit consumery, I know that's a word, right? Consumery. If you are a little bit more on the consumer side, maybe you can push it a little bit towards Facebook or Instagram, right? And then I'd say even B2B companies are pretty heavily advertising on Twitter now too. So it really kind of depends on what areas you're looking at. But then, are you active in other forums? So let's say, I think let's just say this. Number one, start a blog. If you are working at a company that doesn't have a blog, start a blog, because that's going to be the first place that you want people to look for information. But you don't want to just have stuff that says, yay, we're the best, right? Because a lot of company blogs out there are very, here's what's going on in the latest release of our new software, or here is our newest product. Look how awesome it is. No one's going to read that, right? You want to go out there and say, let's say you have let's say you're a realtor, right? You want to have a blog that says, here are the top 10 ways to improve the value of your home before you sell it. Or here are 5 ways that you can stage your house for less than $500, right? Because people are going to read that. They don't care that you're the top ranked realtor for Remax in your region or whatever, right? They want to know how it can benefit them. So number one, get that blog running, right? And then see where your people are, see where your customers are, see where your prospects are. Are they on something like Medium or Reddit or Quora, which are slightly different from a regular blog because they're not on your platform, right? So, are they on Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram, or Pinterest or Snapchat, right? So if you are in the under 25, under 35 crowd, there's a good chance they're going to be on Instagram and Snapchat. And believe it or not, Snapchat actually has more users than LinkedIn does. So, if you are a lifestyle brand, if you're Beats headphones, then you're probably not going to be advertising this on LinkedIn. You probably would get a lot more use out of something like Instagram or Snapchat. So it really kind of depends on where you flow.
So once a brand knows their audience and finds that platform, they need to be blogging. They need to be putting that valuable content out there. I guess the effectiveness comes from knowing your audience, not necessarily which platform does it for you, right?
Yeah, I think, the first thing that you really need to do, I think, as a marketing person is to go out and figure out who your personas are. Right? So group them into main categories of the types of people that buy your stuff. If you are a Ford dealership, then it's probably soccer moms, fleet buyers, truck dudes or whatever. Figure out who those buyers are. If you're a software company, it's probably CIOs, end users, and maybe a CFO or something that needs to write the check. So figure out who your personas are. And then I like to write this down the left side of a piece of paper. across the top of it, write each step in your sales cycle. Is it prospect, then lead, then opportunity, then customer, then retention, something like that? I mean, usually it's 4 to 6 steps long or something.
Right.
So you write that across the top. You've got personas down the bottom. And each step, you need to figure out who's involved in that sales cycle at that step and what kind of questions they're asking. Because so if you're software, it's probably going to be the end user of the software, or maybe like their director. So it's probably going to be in that level. The CIO is not going to say, "Hey, I need to go buy new software." It's probably going to be underneath that person. So how does that progress through the sales cycle, and who all needs to be involved, right? Now the next step is figure out what all their questions are at each step, and then make sure that their questions are answered in some way on your blog, on your YouTube channel, on, your white papers and your videos. So that way, theoretically, you can go through and say, someone can go from prospect to customer completely without really being touched, right? They can go and ideally you can even architect it on your website so that certain blog posts direct them to certain other blog posts. If you go to Salesforce, if you go to HubSpot, if you go to Marketo, they all have amazingly well-designed inbound and content marketing lead generation machines. I heard a couple years ago that HubSpot gets something like 65,000 inbound leads a month. And it's just because of their blog. If you look at their blog, they have like 5 or 6 different links to other blog posts along the side. They have 2 or 3 different places you can sign up for their newsletter. They've got at least 2 different places that you can sign up for a white paper or some kind of checklist or worksheet. And so there's literally like a dozen different places you can click to get better and more information and more content about what they're trying to talk about.
So if before we jump into one of my favorite brands that I want to highlight, I want to ask one specific question. Many companies now, or many brands, they're doing it on their own. Like you said, if I'm a social influencer, I'm doing it on my own. 9 times out of 10, I'm not hiring somebody to do this for me. Or if I'm a company that's new to social media, I don't necessarily have that marketing person in our department to do that. So what would you say to a company or a brand that's doing it on their own?
Yeah, I would say, take a look at what the different options are, right? So I come with a little bit of an HR background where the average social media person in the U.S. makes about $55,000 a year. That can be a lot for like a small mom and pop, or if you're like a restaurant or something, right? You can't hire someone for $55,000 a year. Plus, I mean, if you think about benefits and all that, by the time you're done with it, you're talking $75,000, $80,000. So another option for that, look up who is in your area. There's different contractors, there's different agencies, there's different kind of collaborative and collectives of different groups of people that can help you with social and help you with content. So
that's kind of like what we do here in Houston. Like we have those meetups, we have the social media breakfast, and everybody just comes together and kind of collaborates and builds those relationships. So you definitely using the community as a good focus point or starting point if you're afraid to get out there and start it yourself and not really know what direction to take it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And by working with a consultant or a freelancer or someone like that, you might spend $1,000 a month or $3,000 a month, but that's still a whole lot less than you'd be spending on a full-time person, right? Also, by working with a consultant, you immediately get the know-how and the expertise starting from day one. A lot of people who are kind of like, I remember when I was starting in 2007, when they were like, hey, you're the marketing person, why don't you figure out some social media, right? It took me probably 3 or 4 years until I could say, if you do this, then this other thing happens, right? Like how do you correlate, like if you got $500 a month in ad spend, should you spend that on Google or Facebook or content or what? Like it takes a while to get to know how to do that. So, if you just hired someone and said, here's some money, go make social and content happen, you can expect a couple years before that person actually, gets up into that speed, right? Gets up to speed. So I would say working with a freelancer or working with a consultant, you get that expertise from day one, and you can really kind of work with them on that. Some of them will even work with you to the point where they'll give you coaching advice, and you may not actually have to pay them for, every hour that they work on the accounts, right? So it might just be you hire them for 2 hours worth of coaching advice a month, and then maybe you're good enough that you can do it yourself. But I would say it's really, really, really important that you do not just go out and say, well, let's cheap this out as much as we can. Let's get an intern that we get on here for free and just give them access to social, because your brand identity and your brand reputation really, really rests on that. I heard a quote a couple years ago that was like, I forgot how it goes. If you... All right, you can edit that part out. But it was basically, dang it, okay. But anyway, so yeah, basically you just want to make sure that you don't have someone that is completely new to branding or communications working on your social media accounts.
So have you experienced any situations where brands, maybe they have, a 2 or 3 person marketing team, but really to try to hit all of these social media channels where their customers are hanging out, and then provide, helpful, useful content in a lot of different ways, which can still be quite a bit of a challenge. Have you seen where they incorporate the salespeople into helping create content, or other departments into helping create content, whether they're writing themselves or whether they're just going out and audio or video recording them and then taking that and creating? Have you seen that happen at all in the IT space?
Yeah. So I worked for a top 10 largest software company for a few years, and one of my favorite things was we had about 30. We called them product. No, they weren't product marketing. They were solutions marketing managers. And so they were the ones that basically project managed and rolled out, updates and all that kind of stuff. They weren't super technical. They were more on the marketing side, but that meant they had the know-how to actually write cohesive, understandable content. So we had about 30, maybe 40 different people we could lean on to write about the different products and the different themes that we were talking about. So, and I think that works really well, just because, these people work day in and day out with the products. They, in a lot of cases, work really closely with the customers. So they know what the customers are asking. They know, what they're looking for. And in a lot of cases, these are people that have marketing or sales or even journalism backgrounds. And so they can go out there, put together good content, and then also, kind of make it marketable. A lot of them were actually pretty social. They would go out there and tweet for us. So that's a great idea, I think, is to involve your salespeople, involve your marketing people in the content. If you're a 1 or 2 man marketing team, but you have 20 salespeople and you have, probably 3 or 4 executives, find a way to involve them in your content.
We're going to switch gears here real quick for a second, Eric. We have a segment that we do about halfway through where we spotlight a specific product, for a certain manufacturer or a vendor. And, we just try to show a little love on that side of the fence. And so I think, Alicia, you had something you wanted to highlight today.
Yes, I did. It's one of my favorite brands right now because they have just taken off and they have a great quality product. Archon mounts. I've used them on trade show floors. I've used them at work to show behind the scene live footage of what I do on a daily basis. And
wait, how do you spell that?
ARKON.
Okay. Awesome. Well, you know what? I want to tell you that I actually had a mount that was provided by a different company. I bought it on Amazon, and it was made out of plastic. And so it actually twisted and snapped off. So I'm actually in the market for a new mount for my phone for a tripod mount. So I'm going to definitely look them up.
Yeah, they are at Archon_mounts on Twitter, and they have quite a few giveaways that they do where they've been giving away a lot of products because they have dashboard mounts, they have dual mounts to where you can live stream from multiple tablet, like your tablet or your cell phone at the same time on different platforms. And they've got all kinds of people using their products. I've been watching a chef, and she's she's using it to dual live stream on her Facebook and her Instagram, and it's pretty cool what they can do. And what I like most about it is that they customize them out for you. So if you do need that dual or triple or quadruple, whatever you're trying to do in the live stream space, they do that for you. They have car mounts. So it's been a really good piece that I was able to snag up and use for live streaming and selfies and all that other good stuff. So I just wanted to give them a shout out. Again, they're on Twitter at Archon Mounts. It's Archon at Archon_mounts.
It's so important to have a good mount when you're trying to produce good live stream video too for social, because the number one thing that makes a video look cheap is when someone's like at a parade or something or at an event, and they're just sitting there holding the phone, and it's shaky and it's blurry, and you get the little motion blurs and stuff like that. So really, you need to get a good mount to stabilize that camera.
Oh yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff.
Eric, we're gonna bring you back on when we do the next product highlight, because you just helped sell that. That was beautiful.
I know, right? Let's do it.
All right, very good. So we're going to get back into the content. We got a couple more questions left for you. One of the things I want to ask you about was paid content, and kind of what channels have you seen in the AV IT space where paid content is paying off?
It really depends on how you get it out there. Okay, so let me give you 2 examples. So with the software company I was working at, we worked with a content distributor. So they're one of the companies that if you go to like peoplemagazine.com or something, right, you always see those like 6 or 8 links at the bottom, right, that are usually kind of like, you won't believe the insurance rate you can get or whatever, right? And they're not content from that source. We had paid for a couple of those for our a couple blog posts, and we got tens. I think in one case we got like 120,000 clicks to this one blog post about like shopping for how to use or how technology influenced their Christmas shopping or something, right? So it wasn't really anything about our products, and it wasn't really in line with anything we were talking about. But for some reason, this one particular blog post they had highlighted for that. I don't remember any conversions, any signups, or anything from that. So I might be wrong, but I don't remember anything really coming out of that. So watch out for what kind of content syndication you pay for, because they may or may not be in front of the right people. Right. The second thing I want to tell you about is one of my friends, Larry Kim, who is he's the founder of WordStream, who is they do basically Google ads and placing them in certain places and that kind of thing. So he says one of the things he used to do is when he would write a blog post, he went out, he actually paid an intern to go out and find all of the Twitter handles of all the major tech publications. So what he did was when he wrote a blog post, he had 1,000 people that he would promote that blog post to, from TechCrunch, from Bloomberg, from HuffPo, from, CIO.com, all these huge like technology resources, right? So he spent less than $50 promoting this on Twitter, and he got something like 9 media placements. He does this like once or twice a year. Well, he'll like come up with some idea that's a little bit controversial, right? I don't remember any particular topics offhand, but a little bit controversial. They kind of raise a couple eyebrows, and so he'll actually promote them directly to not his customer, but to tech writers who then pick up the story and then reference his blog post. So I thought that was genius, right?
Yeah.
There was a realtor in Austin who would find companies that were moving to Austin and then place ads targeting those people. So let's say like, I don't know, Walmart is moving to Austin for some reason. Okay, so he would go out and say he would find Walmart employees that live in Bentonville, Arkansas, and place an ad that says, "Hey, let me be a realtor. Give me a call, and we'll set something up or whatever." Right. So he spent, I think, less than $100 and got something like $12,000 or $15,000 in commissions based on 2 or 3 houses he sold by approaching them that way. So, don't just always say, well, this thing over here is really cheap, so let me spend a lot of money on that to get a bunch of clicks to my content, because it may or may not be like the content syndicator we were using when I was working at a software company. That may or may not actually convert. Where on the other side, if you spend $50 or $100 highly targeted towards the right people, you can definitely achieve a lot more out of that.
Got it. I like it. So let me switch gears for a second here. Yeah. Content marketing platforms. So your HubSpots, your Marketos, those type of platforms. As far as in the tech space, which platforms are you seeing tech companies really kind of navigate towards, or which platforms are you seeing them have success with? Any of those in particular that kind of stand out to you, or is it just all over the board?
I think it's a little bit all over the board. You've got Oracle Marketing Cloud out there too. You've got Salesforce, and it really kind of just depends on who started first, right? If it was marketing that started it, maybe you're on HubSpot or Marketo. If it was a technology enabled, if IT started it, then you're probably on Oracle. And then if you're on, if sales started it, then maybe you're on Salesforce. So in a lot of cases, it's just whatever legacy system you happen to have carried over. But I think pretty much all of them are pretty decent platforms. I've worked most closely with probably Salesforce. I mean, Radian 6 I've worked with for their social media monitoring platform, and then also with ExactTarget. And then, I'm pretty familiar with Oracle. They took over Involver, which was their social platform. Marketo has been pretty active out there. You see them a lot, and I've been to a couple HubSpot events and things too. So I definitely, do I have a preference? I think it's just really, what will your people use? It just kind of depends on, obviously I would say if you can, it does help to standardize, just because you get a better rate overall normally. If you're like, let me buy 5 enterprise products from you instead of 2, then you're just going to get, economies of scale out of that. But number 2, the technologies are going to be able to communicate better, right? I've seen some pretty impressive stuff when it comes to social CRM, where you can pull up a Twitter username, and it'll tell you every single time that your company's engaged with that person on Twitter in the past, right? Has this person complained about something before? Has this person helped? Has he been an advocate? You can tag them. You can say, this person has over 50,000 followers and is an advocate and is on our influencer program and also is a featured blogger or whatever for our blog. So you can tag them all these different ways, and you can see, it's basically a CRM going forward with just social media people, through the social media platforms. So it's pretty amazing some of the technology that some of these platforms have now.
I just have one more question left for you. Alicia, did you have anything you wanted to throw in?
Go ahead, throw it at him. I'm taking it all in, and like I mentioned, we all are learning and growing together. So I'm really taking it in. So
just to wrap up real quick, so what would you say is one useful strategy or tool that you would recommend for our listeners, primarily again tech audience, that would help them with their content marketing efforts? And we're probably talking more so towards the smaller size teams than the larger teams, but something that they can go out and take some immediate action on to move towards starting to see some results.
Yeah, I would say one of the bigger things, after you've worked on the persona, after you've worked on the sales cycle, after you've worked on figuring out your blog, I think one of the big things I would love to see from companies is some kind of story arc, right? So think about maybe, it all depends on how big your company is. Maybe you have one a year, or maybe you have one a quarter, right? If you, but the basic idea is you want to have some big piece of content out there, like an ebook, 20-page ebook, right? If you write a 20-page ebook, it's really like 8 or 9 pages of text, and then you got pictures and call outs and quotes and stuff like that, right? So by the time you actually format it, it looks like it's 20 pages. So we're not talking that much info. But you take your 20 pages worth of ebook, that easily becomes 10 or 15 blog posts, right? So let's say you're Marketo. Your ebook could be how to market or how to use social media at a conference, right? So your blog post might be how to use Twitter at a conference, or how to use a hashtag at a conference, or how to tell people about how to use social media at a conference, right? So there's all these different angles for it, right? And then at the end of each blog post, you want to say, hey, you just spent 10 minutes reading about how to use Twitter at a conference. Why don't you download this whole ebook on how to use social at a conference? And now, all of a sudden, you just had basically a 10-minute infomercial that this person was reading. And now, of course, they're going to go click that button and sign up, right? But don't just leave it at ebooks and blog posts. Expand that out, right? Now each of your blog posts becomes 4 or 5 social posts. It can become like a couple 2-minute explainers on YouTube. It can become LinkedIn posts or Instagram. You can do like a infographic on Instagram or something, right? So you start with kind of a core idea, and then you break it up into different pieces that all kind of evolve or revolve around the same topic. And that way you kind of build kind of a reputation around that topic, and it's less ADD for everyone else. Like if you look at some of the Twitter feeds of some of the companies, right? It's like, hey, look, there's big data. Okay, let's talk about, automation. Oh, wait, let's go over here to machine learning or maybe cloud computing. And so there's no like consistency between one day to the next of let's, go over and promote like one topic at the same time. If you look at Dominion Resources out of Virginia, there are the utility company out there, like electric utility, like we have in Centerpoint here in Houston. So if you look at the way they do it, they actually have 3 main kind of storylines that stretch throughout the year: safety, energy efficiency, and community. And pretty much any of their posts falls underneath one of those 3 storylines. So I think they even do it by they have a almost like a color coordinated theme for each storyline too. So kind of what to expect as you read along throughout the year. So you have that consistency and you have that familiarity through that as well. So find some kind of I guess I heard one person describe it as kind of a Thanksgiving dinner, right? So you get your big turkey. That's going to be your ebook or your white paper or your big piece of content. And then you slice that up the next week and it becomes sandwiches or becomes casserole or becomes soup or, whatever, tetrazzini, right? So those are going to be your blog posts, your videos, your social posts, your infographics, your quotes, all those types of things. Webinars, right? People love to have webinars. So now you can have kind of a overall theme that you're known for, that you establish that familiarity with, and that can carry through from one season to the next. It's not just ADD kind of bouncing back and forth.
Got it. So let me recap real quick, make sure that I get it, because if I get it, then I'm sure the listeners are going to get it. So what you're saying, so create the buyer personas up front so you can understand like who you're targeting, find out where they hang out, what channels that they're hanging out on, and get familiar with those, and then use blogging to blog helpful content, not content about yourself, but helpful content that's going to help the viewer or the reader. And then maybe once or a few times a year, create those premium content offers that you'll take and break those down into smaller bite-sized consistent pieces that'll be part of your whole kind of social marketing strategy, or your content marketing strategy, I should say. Is that kind of sum it up there?
If you play that little segment at the beginning, we could have saved ourselves a whole lot of time.
What a recap. Seriously.
That's perfect.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm a good listener, if nothing else. So awesome. So here's what we're gonna do. So we're getting ready to close it up with the lightning round. Now, this I got to tell you, Eric. This here is gonna be fast. It's 60 seconds. Alicia's gonna throw a ton of questions at you in 60 seconds. See how many you can answer in 60 seconds. They're random questions.
Can I win a prize?
You can win a prize. Yeah, if you get all the questions, you can win a prize. Most definitely. I'm gonna be keeping time, and I'll let you know when we hit the 30-second mark. I'll let you know when we hit the 10-second mark, and we're gonna let Alicia kick it off. So I'm gonna crank some jams here. We're gonna have a little background music, and we'll let Alicia jump into these lightning round questions here.
All right, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Ready, Eric?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Let's do it. Nickname your parents used to call you.
Doo-doo. It's Chinese. It's not doo-doo like poop. It's doo-doo.
Texting or talking?
Texting.
Favorite city in the U.S. besides the one you live in?
New York.
Favorite day of the week?
Friday.
Ariel or Jasmine?
Ariel, come on.
Favorite celebrity crush?
30 seconds.
Oh, dang, there's so many. Ellen. I don't know. She's kind of cool.
Yay. Invisibility or super strength?
Invisibility.
Favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Would you rather speak every language in the world or be able to talk to animals?
10 seconds.
Last song you downloaded?
I don't even know. Megan Trainor. Dang it. What's that song? Me Too. Me Too?
Awesome. Yes, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's my jam.
Okay, story behind that. My girlfriend's got 3 girls and they love that song. So I was like, I need to know the words to this, so I downloaded it.
Hey, you don't that's like my morning ritual song. Like, so don't get me started. Okay, that's my jam.
All right, Eric, that was great, man. Those are good answers. So we appreciate you playing. Now, I don't know how many questions was that, Alicia?
That was 8 questions.
That was 8. So is there a consolation for 8 questions? We made it maybe halfway.
Oh, dang.
We made it through halfway, yeah.
I think Alicia was too slow. I was pretty fast on
it.
So wrapping up, Eric. So how can the listeners get a hold of you if they want to reach you, like on Twitter, on social, your website? How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, check me out at EricTung. That's ERIC 2 T's UNG .com or Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Snapchat, YouTube, Pinterest, Tumblr. All of them are EricTung. Like, you can't even, just go type it in on Google. You'll find all my accounts.
Love it, love it. So what we'll do, we'll definitely have all your 30 social accounts in the show notes so that they can reach out to you. And then as well, we'll have some notes about all of the good content you gave us today, which we certainly appreciate. And wrapping it up, we just want to let the listeners know this is the first episode that we've recorded with Eric, and with each season we're going to be representing a slice of something to go along with all our marketing and video and social media content. And so this year that slice is based around pizza. And so what we're going to be doing at the end of season 1, we are going to be throwing a pizza party, and we are going to be doing a drawing for some lucky listeners to win pizza parties, either for their companies, if it's an individual that wins, and certainly for their family. But we'll be drawing a couple of names at the end of the season for the last episode for a pizza party. So definitely what you can do to enter that, really right at this point, is just go ahead and like or follow us on social media. So on our Twitter account or on our Facebook page, give us a like or a follow there. You'll be entered into the drawing for the pizza party at the end of season 1. And then Alicia, you had another promo you want to talk about too.
Oh yeah, pizza is good. telling you, pizza is one of my favorite foods.
yeah.
But we got something good again coming at you. We are also going to give away a GoPro at the end of season 1.
Dang.
So, yeah, we're giving away some good stuff. So we definitely want y'all to stay tuned, stick with us, because you're gonna get a lot of great content, and there's gonna be a lot of great prizes that you can win. So we appreciate everybody tuning in. Again, Eric, thank you so much for joining us.
Are guests
Hey, go ahead.
eligible to win?
Yeah.
I got to know this because I'm about to go like you guys, so I got to know.
That's right. Go like us. Go like us so we can feed that family, that tribe you got over there, man. Go like us, and of course, you enter into it too, man.
You got it. Thanks so much for having me on, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. All right. Until next time, everybody, go like, follow, subscribe, and enter into these contests, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the show. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Jump on over to iTunes to leave a rating and review. This will help us improve our ranking and grow our brand. We appreciate your feedback.
Also, be sure to check out the show notes on socialslice.io, where you can link to all the resources mentioned in today's episode.
Want to join us on the show? Or you have an idea about a future topic? Follow us on Twitter at Social Slice Show or Facebook at Social Slice.
Tune in next week as we bring you more tools, tips, and strategies to help you connect, engage, and grow your brand.